watering. It's something everyone does if they have a garden, or at least want to have a garden for very long, but it's something that a lot of people do wrong. And in this episode, I'm going to talk to you about how to water effectively so that you can actually use water to help grow your plants. So water is comprised of hydrogen and oxygen atoms. You have one hydrogen to two oxygen atoms making a water molecule, and water is a very good solvent. So if you're going to dissolve sugar in water, or you're going to dissolve in our case oxygen in water, it actually readily mixes with water to create a very temporary it's not necessarily a new chemical, but it can help carry other chemicals into the soil or into a solution. So as gardeners, we like to use water to carry oxygen down to the roots. So the water has hydrogen and oxygen atoms. That's not the oxygen we're concerned about. We're actually concerned about the dissolved oxygen. So this is additional oxygen that's from the air. Anywhere in the air, there's loads of oxygen particles, oxygen molecules, not particles, oxygen molecules, and those oxygen molecules can be dissolved in water. However, the only way that we can increase the amount of dissolved oxygen in the water is by slowing down the flow of the water, by backing it up and forcing it to actually come out in a smaller stream. Because what it does is when it goes through the air, like it's falling right now, it's actually picking up bits of oxygen in the air, and it's actually dissolving as it hits the ground in dissolved oxygen. And so when you have dissolved oxygen, that the water will actually carry very temporarily that dissolved oxygen down to the roots, allowing bacteria and other flora and fauna in the soil to survive, as well as your plant roots, which are alive and do need oxygen much like you and I do. So it's an incredible concept that not a lot of gardeners talk about, and that how you water can really dictate how successful your garden is. If you try to replicate rain as much as possible, you're going to have the most success. As you know, right after a rain, loads of growth occurs. And that's because as the rain is falling, it's gathering all of those oxygen molecules, and it's gathering also lots of really good ions with the rain to help the plants grow. And so what you have is essentially a very oxygen-rich water falling from the sky. So when we are watering, I could simply take off this nozzle here and water with a very steady stream. However, the faster the water is going out, the less oxygen is going to be in your water. So your plants will essentially just be getting water, and you will not be getting the dissolved oxygen, meaning your soil could actually be dying even though you're watering on a very regular basis. You could be growing in pure compost, and if you're not getting dissolved oxygen in your water, your plants will be deficient of oxygen, and the roots will not have the growth and the vigor that they would have if you would get some oxygen there. Now, there are a lot of watering heads that do this, but pretty much anything that slows down the water flow will do good. So you have here, even on this multiple setting one, you have a cone. That's a little random. You don't want that. But you also have a mist setting. Misting is really, really effective. It's extremely effective for seedlings to get that dissolved oxygen in, because the water particles in here are so small that you can really, they have a lot of surface area to pick up that oxygen and help to carry down into the root system. However, I prefer just the shower setting. The shower setting is really great. It simulates just a nice heavy rain, and you're going to get a lot of oxygen with that. Other things that they do have, Dramm makes a water breaker. You can check it out. I'll post links to it in the description box below. We use that very frequently here in the garden. And on this channel, we use the Dramm water breakers. The 1000 and the 400 are what we use, and they're for different things. But essentially, they have super tiny micro holes that force the water through those holes and spreads it out into just a very gentle, soft water. You can really tell how much dissolved oxygen is going to be in your water by how soft the water feels. If it feels very abrupt, if it feels very dense and in a very thick stream, like this. If you're like washing your car down, not a very good way to water your plants. If you're watering in a watering can, not a very good option. If you have one of those little heads that you can twist on to your watering can, that's going to slow that water down. It's going to be better than just allowing a thick stream of water to come out. Granted, you will be able to water your garden faster, but the results will be far less impressive. So that's where hey, gardening takes patience, and if you don't have the time, make the time, because it's worth it. I'll tell you what, it's really worth it. And so, yep, so we're just going to water our plants down here, and all of that oxygen is going to go down, feed the roots, feed the bacteria, because your garden soil is alive. Your plants are alive, your soil's alive with bacteria and microbes, and they all need that oxygen to do really well. So that's all I've got for you today. Hopefully you all enjoyed, hopefully you learned something new, and as always, this is Luke from the MI Gardener channel reminding you to grow big or go home. See ya. Bye.